Hello. Have you ever wondered what the purpose of a passport is? I mean, why do we need passports to travel? Well, originally, passports were documents designed to protect the traveller. Yeah, in the days when travelling was much more risky and dangerous than it is now. So, if you were going to make a journey, you'd go to the local lord of the manor and you'd say you were going to make this journey and you needed a passport. And the lord of the manor would issue you with a document saying that that you were under his protection. So, if you got held up by highwaymen or anything of that kind, then you could hold the document up, showing that you were under the protection of this powerful person, and hopefully they'd bugger off and leave you alone. So that was the original purpose of passports. And then we get to 1922, and the League of Nations holds an international conference called Customs Formalities and Through Tickets, at which passports became universal. Before then, they weren't universal. You didn't always need a passport to cross a border. Indeed, in the 19th century, some states, as part of their constitutions, guaranteed passport-free travel as a constitutional right of citizens. But then in 1922, passports became universal, and basically they became universal because governments were aware of how they could be used as a means of controlling their populations, in particular controlling their populations' movements across borders. So it occurs to me that this idea of take back control is incredibly ironic, really, because now we're out of the EU, of course, crossing borders has become much, much more difficult. For example, you can now only travel to the EU for a 90-day stay in any 180-day period. From next year, you will be obliged to apply for a travel permit, a European Travel Information and Authorization System permit, in order to travel to the EU at all. And of course, it works the other way round in terms of EU travellers coming to the UK. There is something known as the Schengen area within the EU, whose member countries do allow passport-free travel between them. And, quite frankly, I think this shows the irony involved in the notion of taking back control because, in what sense is one in greater control of one's situation now that there are all of these enormous barriers to travel that didn't exist before? Personally, I don't feel I've got any greater control at all. I feel the reverse is the case. So what a ridiculous slogan that was, take back control. No, it's leave the EU and lose an enormous amount of control, lose the freedom that you had before then to travel across borders without having to show a bloody passport, for goodness sake. Lose the freedom to live and work in any EU country that you want to without any special requirements having to be met, something which you can't do now. Lose the freedom to travel with the guarantee that if you fall ill when you arrive in your country of destination, you will have guaranteed access to the health services of that country. So, the more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that Brexit is such a bad idea. I mean, it's so stupid, such a ridiculous idea. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the more I carry on my campaign, the more I'm convinced that I have made the right decision to stand for the Rejoin EU party, and I do hope that you will support me if you live in Stretford and Urmston, of course, on the 15th of September. Thanks very much. I shall see you later.